The Fianna Fáil party met this evening, and the very strong view of the party, consensus view of the party, was a reiterating of our consistent message since the election and indeed before the election, that the best interests of the Irish people are not served by a government made up of Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. We made this promise consistently in advance of the election. We made it very clear to the Irish people and to those who were voting for us that we would not go into government with Fine Gael, and remaining consistent and true to that commitment that we made. And we do that on a number of bases. I think politics needs, in terms of the restoration of trust with the public, if we say things of such magnitude to the people and such importance, we have to maintain our commitment and our promise, and that's the key issue. And secondly, we don't think it's in the best interest of Irish society that Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael will be lumped together. I think centre ground stability and sustainability into the future is extremely important, and the idea of governments of 100 plus are not healthy and are not good for democracy. And we've learned that from the outgoing government, which had a huge majority, which had stability, but which didn't deliver effective government in terms of looking after the most vulnerable in our society, such as the homeless, people without houses, access to health services, and communities across the regions. And so that's a very important point in terms of maintaining that middle ground and thinking just beyond the short term. Thirdly, what came out in the aftermath of the election was a genuine willingness across the floor of the House to do things differently in Irish politics, and hence the initiation of the Dáil Reform Initiative. And I was at the outset of that myself when I said we need to fundamentally change how Dáil Éireann works for the people, and the idea of majoritarianism and majoritarian governments being the order of the day was gone, and change was required. Now, there's been good movement on that under the chairmanship of the Ceann Comhairle, and I'm confident that the next Dáil will be dramatically different to the one that went before, in terms of respecting all views, in terms of accommodating all views, and in terms of it being a genuine partnership between the government of today and the Dáil itself. And we are prepared to facilitate the formation of a minority government. I'm prepared to lead a minority government myself if the Taoiseach doesn't want to lead a minority government. And I put that to the Taoiseach earlier, and I said it to him earlier in terms of communicating to him our consistent position, and that it hasn't changed. But I said to him that we're prepared, we believe in the idea and the concept of a minority government. They've worked across Europe, there's no reason why it cannot work in Ireland. Now, the final point I would make is this, that the Taoiseach had been in talks with independents for over 3 to 4 weeks. He and his spokespeople had made it very clear they wouldn't be talking to us until after that. And the independents were looking for confirmation, some idea that we would support and underpin a Fine Gael-led minority government, or vice versa, that Fine Gael would underpin a Fianna Fáil-led minority government. And that was the context of the talks last evening, meant to be the context last evening, and we were very clear that we would do that. And my speech in the House last evening articulated. I would have questions around the integrity of the entire process that was entered into yesterday, to be frank. We were told last evening that minority governments were off the table. Taoiseach told us this emphatically, notwithstanding the fact that he'd been in negotiations with independents for 3 weeks. He told me he'd told the independents this yesterday, that he'd flagged to them the idea of a Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael independent government. I spoke to the independents this morning. Those that I spoke to contradict that assertion. They say they were not told yesterday that the partnership document was about Fine Gael, Fianna Fáil and independents. I was told last evening at the end of the meeting that minority government was being taken off the table. We listened to Simon Coveney this morning on Morning Ireland. He's adamant that it's not taken off the table, and Leo Varadkar equally adamant on a later programme that it's not taken off the table. So I would have my own concerns in terms of what was afoot yesterday, to be frank, but that's that's my view, and I don't believe it was sincerely put. And I think there was an element of choreography about it, but that's par for the course in terms of how the Taoiseach does his business. But the more fundamental point from my perspective is that we made a core commitment to the Irish people. We reiterated it time and time again, and we're not going back on it.
Micheál, does that mean that we're now